what makes a quadratic equation solvable? Last lesson we were looking at the quadratic formula, which is if an equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then I can solve for x by substituting each of the numbers in front of the x in the end into this quadratic formula. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and demonstrate each one of these, for each one, how you can use part of this formula to determine if something's going to have two solutions, one solution, or none whatsoever. So I'm going to start with a over here, which says x squared minus 8x plus 16. I'm going to substitute this into the quadratic formula to solve for x. A in this case, what would be the value of a for this first one? 1, yep. The value of b? 8. Be negative 8. The little minus sign lives with it as well. And the value of c? 16. So, this will be... So I'm just substituting everything in. Why is it x what? And then we've got... So all I've done here is I've just substituted these numbers into this equation here. Okay, so minus 8 would just be 8, plus or minus... What's 4 times 1 times 16? What's 2 times 16?
64.
So yeah, it's 32, and therefore double that is 64. 64, take away 64?
0.
So the square root of 0, because 0 squared would be 0. So this would just be 8 over 2, which is 4. In other words, there's only one solution. For part B, okay, so for part B, which says x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0, what would A be for this one? 1. What would B be?
-2.
And C? -8. Boom. So again, I'm going to substitute this in. So this will be -2 squared is 4 minus 4 times 1 times -8 over 2. And I'll move this up. Yes, Mr. Schwab.
What is the plus with the 1?
Oh yeah, so as I was saying yesterday, the plus with the minus means that there's potentially two possible answers. One was plus the square root over 2, and the other one was minus the square root over 2, because quadratics can have up to 2 solutions. So, you'll notice here I had 8 plus or minus 0 over 2. So, 8 plus 0 is probably, in my small experience of mathematics, should be the same as 8 minus 0 all over 2. So that would be the difference here. So that's why there's only one solution. Here we might get something a wee bit different. So minus 2 will be a plus. What's 4 times -8? It'll be -32. So 4 minus -32.
That's the same as plus.
Yep. So what's 4 plus 32, Mr. Travis?
36.
Yeah, 36.
How did you get 4 at the start?
Yeah, I have to get 4.
Because in the formula it says b squared. What's -2 squared?
No, but on the down.
No, at the very start.
Because I'm an idiot. That's why.
That's okay though.
That's all right. That's fine.
Don't.
I did a derp. Okay. So, I've got 2 plus or minus square root of 36. What is the square root of 36? 6. So that means x is equal to 2 plus 6 over 2. Or x is equal to 2 minus 6 over 2. 2 plus 6 would be? So we'll make a lovely pretty arrow here. So either x is equal to 8 over 2, or what's 2 take away 6? 4 over 2, -4 over 2. So 8 divided by 2 is And negative 4 over 2. So let's have a look at this next one. Oh, I'm waiting. Yeah, that's all right.
With the first one, how come there was two?
Sorry, how come there was...
Wasn't two? Oh, yeah, I got it.
Yep. So there's third solution sets here. I'd appreciate me not having to shout over people. Ta. So what would A be in this instance?
1.
Thank you. B?
Minus 8.
Yep, and C.
18.
Ta. So we're going to put this into the quadratic equation. So minus 8 plus or minus square root negative 8 times negative 8 will be 64. And then minus 4 times 1 times 18 over 2. And so minus 8 will be positive 8. 4 times 18 would be what? What's 2 times 18? 36. So it's 36 times 2? 72. What's 64 take away 72?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. What on earth is the square root of negative 8? You can't do a square root of a negative. So you cannot do a square root of a negative. So as soon as this happens, therefore, no solution. I can't go any further from that because you cannot have a negative square root. When you get to the wonderful world of specialist maths, you'll find a thing called imaginary numbers where you can do a square root of a negative. But until then, you cannot do a square root of negative 8. So there is no solution. So what? I'll give it. I'll go and square root that negative number so much. So now, using that quadratic formula, listing thanks, there's a specific part of it that I mentioned its name last lesson, but that's okay if you've forgotten it. But there's some part that will tell you if something's going to have 2 solutions, 1 solution, or none whatsoever. What part of the quadratic formula would be useful to tell you?
The discriminant.
Yeah, the discriminant, which is what, Mr. Daniels?
No idea.
No.
What's the B?
Yes, Mr. Burnett.
B squared minus 4ac.
Yeah.
Discriminate by equation.
Social justice word coming in to say that's rude.
Alrighty. So, whatever the number under that square root is will determine how many solutions you've got. And that's what we call the discriminant. So, for example, this first one, the discriminant was 0, so we ended up with just 1 solution. Here, we've got a positive number, so we ended up with 2 solutions. Here, we ended up with a negative number, and so we can't solve that, so it would be no solutions. So, if I flip over to the next part here, which I'll just wait till people have caught up. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. And so b squared minus 4ac, if it's less than 0, so therefore if it's a negative, there is no solutions.
Equals 0, there's 1 solution.
There is 1 solution. And if it's greater than 0, there are 2 solutions. So, why is this useful? This is useful because this saves you a lot of working out. The quadratic formula is a pain in the rectum to have to go and do very, very long way away to completely do it, and then you realize that you may have stuffed up. If you do the discriminant first, you can see whether or not how many solutions you're expected to have, and you can work that way. So if the discriminant gave you a negative answer, there's no point doing the question because you're not going to get any solutions. So that's why it is very useful to have the discriminant. Now, the last thing on the notes that I've mentioned here, will the equations have A, 2 rational solutions, 2 irrational solutions, 1 rational solution, and no real solution? Well, that's obviously if the discriminant is less than 0, that's no real solutions. 1 rational solution means that the discriminant is equal to 0. Rational is just a fancy word for fraction. So rational would be a fraction, or could even be a whole number, to be honest. Whereas irrational means that there would be a square root, unsquare rootable number. So, for example, if your discriminant had a number that could not be square rootable, then we would struggle. So, for example, if I bring up this sheet here,
Sorry, can you jump back quickly
Yeah.
to the thing? Thank you.
so irrational means unsquare rootable number. And by unsquare rootable, I mean it's not like it's a negative number, it's just that it's like positive 35. That can't be square rooted. It could be simplified, but it can't be square rooted. Yes, it doesn't. Yes, that's a fabulous way of putting it. So yeah, doesn't have a whole number answer.
If you got, like you were saying, positive 35, would you turn it into a cert?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
doesn't have an integer answer.
You know, the number with the square root and the number with the
So for example, okay, if for each of these questions I asked you to find how many solutions we'd have. So b squared minus 4ac here. So this would be negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5.
I think we're good to stop.
Sorry, what?
Like, we haven't been thinking in
9 minus 20. 9 minus 20 is going to be negative 11. How many solutions? 0, yeah, there's no solutions.
Did you say negative 11?
Yep.
Negative 11.
9 minus 20.
Oh, negative 11.
Okay, so this one here, b squared minus 4ac. So this will be negative 20 squared minus 4 times 25. Negative 20 squared, what's that going to be? 400. 4 times 25? 100 times 4?
400.
400, take away 400?
0.
0. How many solutions?
1.
This next one here. B squared take away 4ac. So, this is going to be 9 squared minus 4 times 1 times 22.
Negative 22.
Yeah, negative 22. So this is going to be 81 plus 4, negative 4 times 22, or negative 22, so it's going to be positive 8.
Plus.
Sorry?
81 plus 88 is going to be
Because negative 4 times negative 22?
okay.
Yep. So that's going to be 169. Is that a square rootable number?
Yes.
Yes, because what is the square root of 169? 13. So there's going to be 2 solutions. Are they going to be rational or irrational? Rational. And then finally, 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. 9 plus 28 gets me 37. How many solutions and what type?
2 and rational.
Why would they be irrational?
Because it's a
Yep, 2 irrational solutions. Because 37 is not square rootable, or it would not have an integer answer if you square rooted it.